I couldn't do shit. I couldn't function. Anything like where I got triggered about pain or some shit like that, I had to go to my fix or my fix. If you were president, what would be your first executive order? Um, Knowing me and how I think on a daily basis, I would make it an executive order for every single solitary citizen, legally or illegally, to take courses on mental health of some sort and not be let go without passing, just so we can kind of have some form of, I don't know how to say, normalcy, diplomacy, whatever you want to call it, in America, you know what I'm saying? So we don't have as much anger. Like literally, if anything, like yeah, courses on emotional intelligence, so that we don't pop off as much as we do. What other executive order? Ensure that everyone has the same educational system, like the most effective educational system. That's what I would implement. Excuse me. I would implement a an executive order for emotional, like again, courses on emotional intelligence. Like it's a fucking mandatory requirement for us to have courses on emotional intelligence, so that we don't respond like so quickly to fighting, more so than like just using our mind, and instead of like always ready to be on the defense. You know what I mean? Teaching that, I would probably make them read the fucking four agreements. Uh, but yeah, definitely mental health would be the biggest like executive order. Like it's so imperative. And I'm not gonna give excuses for people like doing shootings anywhere, whether it's a school shooting, whether it's neighborhood drive-bys or whatever that case is. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe that if we knew more about ourselves, if we studied ourselves mentally, knew where we came from, why we respond and do things the way that we do, we wouldn't get in so much shit. We wouldn't take things so personal. We wouldn't assume things. We would just do our best to try to implement unconditional love. Now, unconditional love seems like a stretch, especially when you got so many people that have been rooted in domestication and conditional love. But I just see that I just believe that it would help. Truthfully, I mean, I know damn sure helped me. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I still go through my struggles. I mean, hell, before even starting this shit, I was having a moment with myself. I won't even lie. And just inside the head, and you just have to realize that you're not your thoughts. And that's the crazy part. When you recognize that you're not your thoughts and that the ego is just trying to have its way. And it happens from time to time, especially when you've been rooted in conditional love. Like learning to love yourself unconditionally teaches others to love themselves unconditionally. So I mean, it's a hard battle, but you got to stay with it. But I honestly feel like had if my job as a president, the executive order, that's what would be in place. Something that ensures people that they have to take courses on mental health, so they can see like a lot about themselves, why they do what they do, why they respond that way, why they take shit so personal and all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like literally just the study of your mind. Like you change your mind, you change everything, you change your life. Yeah, I just see that being like a little small thing, something so small that can make such a large impact on the entire world, let alone America. You know what I'm saying? Like to getting into like mental health. I just feel like it would, yeah, I just feel like it would be very, very helpful. and as far as like crime goes, and then of course like again with the educational system, so the poor, disenfranchised communities and all that stuff, getting them, like a chance to thrive, offering courses on mental health, emotional intelligence, and of course business, how to start like the ways to implement starting a business, and not so much having people. It'd be choice if people don't want to work, but giving like really just putting it out there for those who really don't see how starting a business is, the ins and outs of it. Because there, again, it's a lot of people just don't know. They don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's not to say that that shit isn't out there right now, but as far as the focus, I think that I would implement that as a president, especially like an executive order. I mean, I just see like those little things such as, again, mental health, emotional intelligence, which is still rooted in mental health, and then the concept of how to create wealth. So financial literacy, really. So really putting more implementation in schools on mental health. That's the best way to do it right there. So in schools, I feel like mental health, financial literacy should be really keyed in on, and so that we know what we're working towards. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that just know, you go to elementary school, you go through all these schools, you go to college, you get a job, and then that's your life, versus like building something from the ground up, creating wealth for themselves, so that money goes over and over to the next generation. That's just my mindset for America to do is mental health, financial literacy, again, business schools, and how to just teach unconditional love. You know what I'm saying? Just as much as possible as we can, again, like it's something to strive for, rather. Don't get me wrong, there's going to come times where you have to defend yourself, where you have to stand and fight for things. But if we can just push a little bit, further in the lines of trying to work together in this motherfucker, and then showing how much power we have in abundance in America, like the ability to create our own wealth. Yeah, I just think that if we operate, we learn how much, if we learn more about our options, really, that's really what I want to say. So the mental health, financial literacy, and the business courses all teach us how to create a life of abundance versus that of scarcity. And then, we'll all be able to spread the wealth onto our generations going forward. And who knows, make something of ourselves. If someone walked around your house, what would they learn about you? They would know I love to listen to jazz a lot. Like I'll tell, the A thing by Amazon, because I don't feel like hearing her voice. But I'll tell her to play, Ella Fitzgerald on Pandora. And that's pretty much like, it just puts me in a very relaxed state of mind, or either that or the Spa channel on Pandora. You would see I have a lot of books. Most of them I've yet to read, but you would see I have a lot of books. You would definitely know that I was once a gamer by the vintage games that I have. A lot of movies, DVDs, but when was the last time you played a DVD? You know what I'm saying? But it's good, like, to hold up in the spot, letting people see what type of movies that you hold. You would definitely know that I like to. Well, I got a bunch of vinyl, so big music head, and in so many ways, vinyl, CDs, even tapes. You would just see, if I was here, you would see how, I would say, like, how calm and quiet. I like to I can carry myself at times. You know, there's one point in time where I used to be very like loud and rowdy, like almost like looking for validation, trying to be seen all the time and shit like that. And now I find myself being very, you know, just a little bit more calm, collective. I think before I speak nowadays, I try to as much as possible. Sometimes too much, but yeah, that's something you would probably recognize. But I mean, the pad is you can see my military career, a lot of you know what I'm saying, like coins that we've you know, obtained through the years of working in the Air Force and all that. If you you saw my closet, you would know how much I sought validation in my 20s. You know what I'm saying, as far as clothing goes, because I got an array of, like, you know what I'm saying, tees, like graphic tees galore, hats. You know what I mean? I'm sure you see that just by watching, you know, these shows and all that stuff. But I definitely was into a certain style of fashion, and like it kind of, you know, I want to say matured through the years. But you know, I just think I'll say things like that. It's really the biggest thing. If you look in the freezer, you're definitely gonna see broccoli, because that's like, you know, that's what I eat during the week. I don't eat it because I like broccoli. I eat it because I tolerate broccoli. You know, I prefer just to have all the greasy shit that tastes great, but you gotta have discipline. In order to get to the goals that you want for your body and your mind, you know what I'm saying, you gotta have a form of discipline, and that can be a bitch at times. But yeah, I mean, that's some of the things that you probably see in the house. Candles too. Keep you know what I'm saying, like try to get like you know, it's good for like mental health is lavender. Lavender is a really good scent to have for that. So, you know, like when I got the getting real zen like, I just put on the, like I said, the spa channel, get a decent book, a self-help book more than likely, that's going to stimulate the mind. Got candles going on, just keep that scent going and try to reduce the amount of clutter that's in the mind, and just make the most of just make the most of the day, really, and try to live in the present moment. Yeah, but yeah, that's the things that you'll see. A lot of movies, video games, books, yeah, books, candles, video games, vinyl, so music. What else? I'm starting to get into art a little bit too. You know what I'm saying? I remember from like the very first episodes, I used to have the Miami skyline. And then, of course, you know, Marilyn Monroe, and I have a portrait that one of my friends made, you know, try to encourage her to make more of it, because I mean, I'm fascinated by folks that actually can do that. I'm sure if I put my mind to an effort, I probably could paint or whatever, but for those that actually do, you know, I definitely try to encourage my friends that are, especially that are in art, you know what I mean, and can create such things. But I mean, I think that's really it that I could think of as far as like what you would learn walking around my pad. I mean, you would see, depending on what day of the week, you might see peer depression on the floor, nothing but clothes and shit everywhere. But you know, you just get in the routine of, you know, work, gym. Yeah, that's really it. You know, like maybe a little bit of time after work and gym to kind of prepare food for the next day. But I mean, that's really it. You know, I find myself doing that, you know, get caught up in the routine, and once you get in that robotic mindset, it's hard to like break that shit. And, you know, so, you know, folks, like, of course people want to like see you and shit like that, but it's like, nah, I want to stick to this so that I can maintain, like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like you're trying to hone in, you know, your mental health the way that you know, you want to be like in a constant state where you're working on yourself and not so much other people. You know what I'm saying? If you're, you know, an old people pleaser, that was a real big issue for me. So I try to make sure that I'm not becoming that shit again. So anything that kind of triggers that, I'm almost like, I kind of step back, you know, when I get inside my head, and then I want to kind of bag back and assess the situation, make sure that I might be taken for granted and shit like that. But this is all the shit that goes on in mind. But anyway, I think that about covers it. So I mean, if you was walking around the pad without me here, thieving motherfucker, you would see music, books, movies, and coins. At what point did you realize you were abusing porn? Let's see. I knew I was abusing it when I felt like I couldn't live without it. I couldn't do shit. I couldn't function. Anything like where I got triggered about pain or some shit like that, I had to go to my fix or my fix. But it really was. It was just it was a stress reliever, crazy stress reliever at first. So I thought. Then it's like one of those things where your body builds up this type of dependency upon this feeling, and it's addicted to a feeling because that dopamine is a motherfucker, man. Dopamine is we're all dopamine addicts in some way, shape, or form. Shopping, alcohol, drugs, sex. Anything that gives you that reward, it's a reward system. But I was, I think it was in North Carolina. Yeah, I was in North Carolina, and I just felt, I think I got so caught up in my head, full of myself. My ego allowed me it got me to a place where I just felt very alone. Lonely. I don't know. I felt lonely. That's what it was. I wasn't even alone because alone is you're by yourself. You're fine. Lonely is like I can't stand the thought of being by myself. I couldn't stand the thought of just being alone with myself. And I don't think I ever dealt with that. I think I was always trying to fit in and trying to do that. But I ended up getting into a situation that had me so I was hooked, like literally just hooked on I literally watch porn all fucking day. I get out of work, and I didn't try to become social. What it does is take away your social, any social cues, any social skills that you had whatsoever is now designed to just this drug. It will keep you from everything. And I really, like I said, I lost myself in that situation, and I don't know if I ever recovered truly. I'll say from that. So after that, it was all about how do I hide this shit? How can I keep everybody from knowing that I'm addicted to watching porn? So I created a lot of I want to say characters, mask, where functional in public and all that stuff to some degree. And then it got to the point where it was just porn started to surface, started to change my my view of reality, my own reality, the way I looked at women. I think the way I just operated in life, was very robotic, and mechanism and everything was just, it had to be pinpointed. It makes you feel like when you watch porn all the time, you believe like you're in charge of everything. It makes you like you're playing The Sims and shit, right? And you're dealing with people with their own minds, their own feelings and thoughts, and they don't necessarily have to do what you want them to do. But when you're in that mindset, what I'm saying, like being that hooked, it's like, because with porn you choose everything. You get to watch whoever, and when you're done, you get to just put that away. But when you're dealing with actual human beings, you have to, you take into account. It's like maintaining the relationship. And I can catch myself from time to time falling back into that mindset, and not purposely, but I think it's just forced a habit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like learning to work on yourself, being cognizant of these things when they come up, and try to work to be better. Like I said, I'm far from perfect. You know what I mean? I learn, I do as best as I can to be a student and learn from my peers. I'm always listening. I'm very rarely use absolute terms like always, but I can honestly say that I'm always listening, like and again, learning from the people around me and trying to soak up their knowledge and how can I apply it to my life so that I can be better, a better person. And we got to find that fine line of that and perfectionism. Because if you're like me, you felt like you had to do shit to be like loved, so that's conditional. You're rooted in conditional love. It's a very thin line between that wanting to be better and perfectionism. But the difference between being better and perfectionism is that perfectionism cannot tolerate failure. And I'm learning to just like fail forward, really. So that's kind of like the way I see the difference between getting better and then perfectionism. So I'm just pushing forward as much as possible. But that's what makes it abuse. And in my mind was that, like I said, I had to have it, man. It was like literally anything goes wrong. Somebody cut me off in traffic. Oh shit, I'll go jerk this shit. Girl pisses me off on the phone or some shit like that, or she didn't want to send like a new pic or something like that. And my entitled ass mind back then, all right, fuck it, I'll go jerk off. You know what I'm saying? Like shit, like what I'm saying, like being young and not having any structure or guidance, if you will, about manhood and just trying to figure it out on your own. And you know what I'm saying? Like you live and you learn. You're gonna make mistakes. You do the best you can with the knowledge that you have, and dealt with a lot of fear and feeling like you didn't have, what I'm saying, like a legitimate support. Like support on shit. It puts you again. It's just you versus the world. But ultimately it is you versus the world. But it's not as bad as your ego can allow you to believe it. So. Because ultimately, nobody can live your life for you but you. You have to make the decisions. You have to take accountability for those decisions as well. And, a lot of times I can find myself in the inner, the wounded inner child. And the child sometimes, the child often doesn't take accountability for his or her actions. But to look at your life and understand that everything you have in your life is based off of choices that you made. Whether you felt like you were afraid to do it, somebody forced you, it still was a choice that you made, because fear is inevitable. You just gotta have courage, and it takes a while to build courage, and especially like if you're used to like being alone in situations, in traumatic situations, you've had to fight, flight, or freeze. And you often, left in the flight or the freeze modes. So, learning to be more aggressive and more mindful, rather, in how you move on things. It can take some time, but while that, it was a reason to escape. It was a reason to not do anything. That's where the abuse came in, where I just was not going to do anything. I ran from responsibilities at work, as a father, a whole bunch of things. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just it's very dark times, and that led to a lot of suicidal thoughts. Won't lie, very suicidal. I just felt like I couldn't reach out to. I didn't have that. Like when I would try to reach out in certain ways, my delivery, I guess, wasn't. The people that I turned to were so caught up in their own shit that they couldn't see how much I was struggling. But they're not responsible for my insecurities. I am, and it's tough. It's tough. I won't lie. But learning to to see how strong you are after it's, after you get over the fixed mindset and recognize that growth mindset. It's so inspiring because you've been down, and if you've been down, if you can look up, you can get up. So that's the beauty. That's Les Brown always speaks on. Like, you fall flat on your back, and if you can look up, you can get up. So it's all about getting up, and not in the porn situation. But no, I wouldn't change anything about my story, because I wouldn't know what I know now. But like I said, porn abuse is very real. Again, there's some people that are very ashamed because they're living up to other people's standards. But everybody has something that they struggle with. I don't give a fuck who it is. There's not one perfect motherfucker walking this earth that does not have some form of struggle. So just because my struggle is different from yours, there's no reason for anyone to judge anybody. If anything, you show compassion, and you encourage those to get through their struggles, because addiction is very real. And especially, like, again, if you turn to it due to a traumatic event happening in your life, and which is what commonly happens to a lot of us. You associate it with a particular event. So like I said, I encourage anybody that's struggling with addiction, especially porn, to just decide that you're going to do the work, and just know that you got a network of people out there, and you're not alone. That's really important, to recognize you're not the only one dealing with that shit, and don't let anybody shame you or guilt you. That's just a struggle. You get through your struggles just as much as you got through anything else. You've gotten through 100% of all the bad days you've had before. Just keep that in mind. And I have to remind myself that at times. So that's the story about the time when I realized that porn was abusive. And, you get better with time. Every day is a challenge.